Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this reolink wireless 4K solar security system with two pan-tilt cameras. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase some of these, I'll put a link in the description, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost anything extra. So I'll go over the pieces we have here, and this is a bundle, but I think you can purchase all of these things separately. So I guess on top here we have a 256 gigabyte microSD card. We have the Argus PT Ultra camera. It's a 4K pan tilt camera. So this does a 360 degree pan and 140 degree tilt. Now this doesn't have an optical zoom. I assume it has a digital zoom probably. And there's two of those. I'll switch this around here. And then we have two reolink solar panel 2s. So these cameras are wireless, they have batteries in them, and these solar panels will charge up those batteries. And then over here we have the reolink home hub. So this is a hub to connect the cameras into for storage. So you can have these outside and store your footage inside. So I'll pull two of these aside, I'll put the other two away. I don't need to unbox both, they're going to be the same. Let's start with the camera. We have a note here. We have a sticker, a drilling template, and a quick start guide. Let's take a quick look at this. So this shows what's in the box. This shows the different parts. So this has a USB-C port on it, so the solar panel will connect into that. It also has a microSD card slot, so you could store footage on the camera itself. These will set up using the app. The app is available in the App Store and the Google Play Store. So to set this up, we're going to aim the camera at our device. It reads a QR code, and then it pairs it up. So it has some tips in here for installing your camera. So mounting height, it says 2 to 3 meters. So that'd be about 6 to 9 feet. It shows how to mount it. And I'll show some of this. You can install this with a loop strap, so if you want to put it around a tree or a post. This talks about the battery. Now it says here the camera is not designed for running 24/7 at full capacity or around-the-clock live streaming. And that's one thing about being a battery-operated camera. This would be for motion detection and alerts, and then you can look at the video later. But since it's battery-powered, you don't want to use this continuously. This talks about charging the battery. So you can charge the battery with a 5-volt charger or a reolink solar panel. And then we have some troubleshooting and just some other notes and such. Here's the antenna. And here's the camera, and it has some weight to it. So if we look on top here, it has a 1/4 thread. Here it has a covering for the USB port and the antenna opening. Now there's a QR code here, and there's a serial number on the side. Now this will go up and down side to side. There's a switch here to power it on or off. The microSD card is going to be down here. So if you want to put a microSD card in it, you'll move this and then pull this weather seal out, and then you can put the microSD card in there. Here we have the mount. So this is the 1/4 bolt or screw that will screw into the top, and there's a little pin here that locates it on here. We have a strap for mounting, charge cable. We have a little pin tool for resetting, some screws with anchors, and a hex key. And here's the strap mount. So the camera looks pretty straightforward. Let's look at the solar panel. Looks very similar in the packaging. So we have a drilling template. We have a manual here. So this talks about mounting the bracket, talks about aligning it. So you can bolt this or use a strap. So you want to read through this on your own. It will give tips on setting it up. And here's the solar panel. So on the back of this we have 1/4 thread, and we have this long cable. Here's the mount. So when you loosen this up, there's going to be a joint in here that can rotate, and you can thread this in your solar panel, and when you tighten this up, that's going to lock this in place in all orientations. So if I attach this here, like so, I can loosen this up. I can tilt it and then tighten this down. Here we have the bracket for the strap, and a foam gasket, and screws. This looks like an adapter for the older camera systems that use micro USB. This one uses USB-C. So over here we have the home hub, and I've worked with reolink cameras before, and this is new to me. So here we have some tips. Looks like a compliance card. It says notes on it, operational guide, and this says battery Wi-Fi security solutions. This talks about different cameras that are wireless, and I'm guessing these are compatible with the hub. So let's look at this. So this comes with instructions hub, reset needle, Ethernet cable, and power adapter. So this shows the different parts, different buttons. This has a microSD card slot on it for storage. So this will plug into your router. You configure it via the app. You can connect devices to the home hub. This says when inserting the SD card, make sure the side with the numbers is facing up and push it gently inward until it clicks in place. Okay, then we just have notes on the rest of this. So there's a little box here. This is probably the accessories. So here we have the power adapter. Has a barrel plug on it, and output is 12 volts at 1 amp. Here we have an Ethernet cable. That's a spacer. Then we have this other box here, which will be the home hub. There we go. I think most people will probably put this away in a closet or a back room or something, but if you have to have this out in the open, it does look nice. I mean, it looks like any other kind of smart device. There's a little button on the front. It's rubberized on the bottom. We have that vent around the perimeter, a venter on the top. If we go to the back, we have a speaker here. We have 2 microSD card slots, power in, and network port. So I'm going to clean up my desk here a little bit, and we'll walk through setting all this stuff up. Okay, so I have the home hub here. I have a camera, and I have an app here. I'm doing this on my iPad, but most people would probably do it on a smartphone. So you want to go to your app store and go to Reolink in the app store. So that would be Google Play on Android. And then I've already installed this. And you want to open the app and it'll ask you to create an account and such. So I'm logged into mine. So I want to connect up the home hub. So I'm going to plug this into network here. Then I'll connect power. And I'll plug this in. So in the app, I'm going to hit plus in the upper right. And it's going to bring on a camera. So I'm going to scan the QR code on the back of the device. It says please power on the home hub and connect its uplink port to the router. I'll hit next. Device initialization. It says create device password. So I'll do that here. It says name your device. I'll just leave the default name. It says initialization complete. I'll hit next. Now it says file security. It says set up encryption code to enable. I'm going to skip that right now, but I would recommend doing that. It's just easier for my demonstration to do that later. I'll skip that. It says the device has been added. So it says no device is found. I'll tap on that. It says tap plus to add a device. So I'll get some power here because I don't know how much power this has. So I just plug this into a phone charger and I'll plug it into the back of the camera. I'm going to take the plastic off too. And now I'll turn it on with this switch. So it's probably going to go through a little power up sequence. It just had a little chime sound.
Welcome to Reolink. Please install the Reolink app and scan the QR code on the camera.
So I'm going to hit plus on the app. I'll say scan. So it's going to bring up the camera and I'm going to scan the QR code on the bottom. It says select the usage mode. I'll say with the home hub. It says you want to connect. I'll confirm. It says you need to configure the network for devices not in the same LAN. I'll say already in the same LAN. It says power on the device. I'll hit next. It says reset the device and you'll hear a voice prompt. I'm hearing the voice prompt. I'll hit next. It says select Wi-Fi network. So I'll do that. I'll hit scan now. It'll bring a QR code up on my iPad and I'll aim that towards the camera.
Camera is connecting to your router. Please wait.
I heard the beep. I'll hit next.
Connection to the router succeeded. Welcome to Reolink.
I'll hit check next to the connection to the router.
Connection to the router succeeded.
I'll check that it succeeded. I'll hit next.
Device added successfully.
I'll hit next. So we can name this. I'll name this one driveway because this will be going in the front of my house. I'll hit next. So it has tips for setting it up. I'll hit next. It says device added to the home hub. I'll hit done. And here we have the camera. So I'll tap on the camera and we can see it here. Oh, let me turn my audio off. Okay. So I'll open up PTZ and here I can pan it and I can tilt it. Of course, you're not going to see much here. But this is set up and ready to go. So I'm going to do the same procedure with the other camera and they're ready to be installed. Now if I go back to the main page, I'll hit the arrow next to the home hub and I do want to install the microSD card. So I'll get that opened up. So there's 2 slots here. I'll put it in the first slot. I said the first slot, I mean slot 1. So then in the app, let's look at settings. We'll go to storage. It says the card is not formatted. I'll hit format. I'll hit confirm. So that's ready to go now. So I'll go back to the main screen and I'll tap on the picture, and here we have the camera. So I'm going to get this camera installed. It'll also get the other camera set up, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, so I have this mounted up under the overhang of my garage, and the solar panel is shaded here, but it should get sun in the afternoon and the morning. This is southern facing, but I could always reposition that if it doesn't work. It's not hard to do. It does have quite a bit of cord, so I bundled it up there. So now I'll get the other camera installed. So for the second camera, I decided to install it on my gazebo here with these straps. Now these would work better on the bark of a tree. This might be a little slippery, but it does seem to be holding for what it's worth. I don't know that this will be the permanent home, but I thought I'd give it a try. So I'll wiggle this a little bit, so it's pretty secure. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the app. It's been a few weeks since I installed the cameras, so we have some clips that have been recorded. Now if we look at the interface here, we see it says Reolink Home Hub, and then we have 2 cameras below it. So if we tap on the arrow next to the Reolink Home Hub, that's going to go to the Home Hub settings. So you can change those there, and then below that we have the 2 cameras, or you can just go to the camera on this home page. Now I do want to point out, the way this was set up is that the Reolink Home Hub has a Wi-Fi access point that the cameras are connected to. So if we go into settings, we can see the Reolink Home Hub. We've used 1.31 gigabytes of the 233 gigabytes. And if we go to push notifications, we can see they're turned on. So let's back out of here. And let's go to one of the cameras. So I'll go to the driveway camera. So when I put the camera up, I said the solar panel should be getting sun, and it's not getting very much sun. So you can see that the camera is at 21%, but that's actually very good considering it's getting very little sun. Now we'll check out the other camera, but it's been hovering around 100%, and that's facing to the west. The driveway camera is facing to the south, but it's shaded too much. I need to move it out so it has a little bit better sun exposure. But I thought I'd leave it like that so I can test it with not great sun. So probably the big thing people would want to do here is set up camera recording. So if we tap on that, you want that turned on, and then we can go to schedule. And we can see it's scheduled all of the time. So you could schedule this so it's only a certain part of the day. You might only want to record at night or during the day. If we go to detection type, we can choose what type of detection we want. So I have person, vehicle, animal, and I have others turned off. So these are the only things I want to detect. So if it detects a person, it will record, and it will also send me a notification. We also have a post-record duration of 8 seconds. Now if we go to detection alarm, we have non-detection zone, so I'll tap on that. I can hit, say, person. And here I could draw out a part where I don't want to detect someone. So if you had a fence here and you had a dog on one side, you might block that out so you don't get alerts about that dog all of the time. And we have other modes here. So I'm guessing lots of people will want to detect motion, so you want to go into the camera recording and make sure you have those notifications turned on. So let's go back to the camera now. Let's tap on the camera. And we're going to have the live view. Now I can turn my device 90 degrees and this will go full screen. I'll just do that real quick. I'm not going to rotate it in my video. You can see that. So if we look at the icons about a third of the way up from the bottom, we have pause, so we can pause the video. We can unmute if we want to hear the audio outside. We have camera, so we can snap a picture, or we can hit video to record video. And I think that will record to your device directly, not to the card. And then we have this where it says hi. If we tap that, we see clear, balanced, and fluent. So I'm on my local network. I'm using clear. If I was on a cellular network, I might want to use fluent. So that would lower the quality, but it would help with streaming it. You can try those out and see what works best for you. And then we have this next button, makes it full screen. So if we go below that, it says talk. So if I hit that, I can talk and have it go to the camera. We have clip. That looks like it zooms in. Next we have PTZ. So this is a pan tilt camera. So this is a big feature of this. So I'll tap on that, and we have a little controller here. Now I have to be careful about what I show for privacy reasons, but I'll zoom it down. And that's going down now. Now this is not super responsive. I'll go to the left. So it can take a second to update. So you want to make sure you don't overshoot things. So now I can zoom in with my finger here. And this is a 4K camera, so you can zoom in a decent amount. And this is kind of a digital zoom, although it's not really digital zoom until you get to the point where you're beyond the zoom level of the native resolution. But here we can zoom in on that. I can go the other direction. So you can see that looks really nice. Now where the controller is, just to the upper left of that, we have these icons. I'll hit the next icon, and this says return to monitor point, reset monitor point, auto return to monitor point, interval seconds. So you can set a default point here. So to do that, you would hit reset monitor point, and then you would hit return to monitor point. So if you're looking around at things and you want to have it go back to its default position, you can do that here. So that's kind of the default position. And you can also have it automatically go back to that where it says auto return to monitor point. So if you forget, it will do it on its own. And then the next one, you can do preset points. So I put home in here. Really, I would want to use the monitor point for that. But if I tap on this, it's going to go back to the home position. So let me change the position again. So I'll go to the controller here, scroll down to the bush. Now, I don't know that this is going to do the zoom level. But I'll try it. Okay. So now I will go to the preset point. I'll hit plus here, and we can name this. So now I can go to home. It does look like it does not affect the zoom. So I'll hit bush, and it will go back to bush. So zoom is an independent function, and this is really just a digital zoom. So if you have different things you want to look at regularly, you can set presets for it. You can tap the button and go there. So I showed with the controller, it can be a little slow and not super precise to move around, but the trick would be to move around, find points that you're going to look at frequently, and put presets on there. So you can just tap it and then have it go right there. That way you're not trying to fiddle with it each time, especially for things that you're going to look at regularly. Next we have playback, and let's look at that on the backyard camera. So I'll close out of here, I'll go to the backyard. We're loading that up. If I hit the gear in the upper right for the settings, we can see this one, and the battery is at 100%. And if I tap on that, we can see the history of that. So this talks about how much time it's been running. Looks like on this day it ran for 30. I think there might have been a storm that day. So you can get that history. So I'll go to playback here. So we'll look at some clips. I haven't watched all these. I'll cut them out if there's nothing there. But this one has a little paw icon. And this was about 3 in the morning, so I'll tap on it. And here we have a cat going through the yard. Let's go back. There's one at 5:15 in the morning. We have deer. So we get lots of deer going through the yard. Here's another one. Squirrels. More squirrels. So we'll go back to the day I installed it. And here you can see me moving around. And remember, this is a 4K image, so I can zoom in a little bit. It's very clear. So if I go back later that night, we did have a deer. Now if I want to store this in the upper right, we can see a little arrow. So I can tap on that, and it has the clip, and we can download it. So I was watching the clear, so I went to download the clear, and I'll hit download. So this is downloading to my iPad. And I'll insert that video now. So there you can see the video. So that's a basic overview of the Reolink wireless 4K solar security system. Now, I didn't cover every feature. These do have lights on them. They're motion activated. You can turn them off if you don't want that. It also has sirens. You can have sirens on either of the cameras or on the home hub. Now, typically you wouldn't want to have the siren turn on every time a squirrel runs by, but there might be use cases for that. I really like how easy this was to set up. We have 2 high-quality pan-tilt cameras in storage in our home, so if the camera was to get stolen, we still have that storage. These seem to be very efficient. We have the one that had some pretty decent sun exposure at 100%, and the one is at 20% that's in the shade essentially. So if you have some cloudy days, it's not likely to drain these batteries completely. I think they're very efficient. I think cameras like this would be great if you have multiple areas to watch. For instance, you could have this one on a porch. You could have a wider view of the porch, and then maybe you have a package scheduled to be delivered, and you could aim it towards where the package will be so you could watch that or get a notification. And then when the package is delivered, you can revert it to the regular mode. Now I will say, I do prefer wired cameras when possible, but if I am using wireless cameras, I think this is a good setup, easy to use, and has been working very well. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.